Hello. So today's video, I'm going to talk about my favourite ever music artist. I've got a new tattoo. Anyway, so my favourite, get comfy, my favourite ever, I've got several favourite vocalists or singers, male and female, if we're talking about male, because my favourite ever musical artist is male. But if we're talking about male vocals, my favourite ever singer is probably, more or less definitely, Thomas Fina. If you've never heard of Thomas Fina, go and have a look. He's on YouTube. I'll put his name down the bottom and you can go and have a look. Thomas, his voice transcends everything. It really does. It's just amazing. The reason why this artist, not Thomas, but this artist who I'm just about to mention, the reason why he is my favourite is his voice is amazing. It's different. It's completely unique. It's a one-off. But it's his music ability, I suppose, you know, the fact that he can play nearly everything. He's a producer, he's a singer, he a multi-instrumentalist, fantastic lyrics, very, very unusual. Very unusual. He's not a Marmite artist, I wouldn't have said. You either like him or you don't. But what I would say about this particular person is he takes a while to get to know. He takes you on a journey, a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful journey. Totally unique. That's his biggest selling point for me, is he is unique. You can listen to a song, and it is a song to begin with, and at some stage it stops being a song, and it proceeds into this way of being. It's like a journey. It's no longer just a song. It's more than that, much more than that. So this guy, he was a lead singer of quite an influential band. I said this in the last video the video that I mentioned him, or mentioned that I was going to make this video. So yeah, he was a lead singer of a band. His brother was also in the band. The band was named after a country. I said all this, didn't I? So the band was Japan. If you've never heard of Japan, again, go and have a look. But the lead singer was David Sylvian. So while we're talking, we'll just have a quick... I'll just whiz through some of these. Okay, just so you've seen some, really. I'm going to have to show you them like that because of the light. David Sylvian, eh? Absolutely amazing. This is 9 Horses. So David Sylvian, he was a lead singer of Japan with his brother. Then he went solo, and he just went solo, that's it. But he had a few other bands and different things and stuff. So 9 Horses was amazing. Everything's amazing that David does. Everything. He had lots of meetups really with people, including this guy. This is lovely. This is called Flux. And okay. Yeah, Flux and Mutability, and Plight and Premonition. So it's Holger Cuse and David Sylvian. Amazing. Really, really good album. The reason why it's called Two Things is because there's one CD is David and the other is Holger, whatever his name is. Yeah, Holger. There's two in this, 2 classic albums there. You might recognise David. Anyway, so yeah, so he's linked up over the years with other people. The last stuff that you might be aware, if you was to be aware of him, is the stuff that he did with what really could have been called Japan. In fact, the record company said, we want it called Japan, because what it was everybody from Japan. Victim of Stars is like a greatest hits. He's got several sort of greatest hits. I've just shown you one actually a minute ago, but anyway, yeah, so the record company said, we want this called Japan, and David said no. He said Japan is done, this is now a modern age, this is new, but it was still everybody from Japan. So he decided, David, to fund it himself. And the project was called Rain Tree. Yes, it was Rain Tree. Was it Rain Tree Snow? Rain Tree Clouds? I can't even remember. Let's have a look. Rain Tree Crow. Of course it was Rain Tree Crow. And Rain Tree Crow really is Japan. Down to Earth, that's a great album. So Nine Horses was also a band of, David Sylvian, and kind of a mixture between a few people from Japan and a few other people. Nine Horses is Rain Tree Crow, look. Rain Tree Crow, which really is Japan. Manaphon. Now, most of these are shop bought ones, but every now and then, if you're lucky, you find things like this. And I say if you're lucky, this is a fan-made 2 CD, excellent. And look at this, right? It's really, really well made. And it plays just like studio quality. It's absolutely fantastic. So if you ever find it, it's called Promises, and there's another one called Rare Beasts by the same people, who it is. Let me have a look on Promises. Yeah, they're called Relax and Swing. So if you ever find them, Relax and Swing, they do a lot of live albums now. But if you can find any of their studio stuff, like this is Rare Beasts. Okay, and again, just look at it. The quality of this is something else. It's phenomenal. It's wonderful. This one has 15 tracks on it. And the other one, as I say, it's a double CD. So why is David my favourite artist? Well, for all those reasons I mentioned earlier, that he produces everything, he writes everything, he records everything, he plays all the instruments, very, very much a one-man band. This is a new one to me. It's called Japan Exercising Ghosts. Now, David does a lot of ambient music, including this album, which I don't like. It's called Wander Mood. But anyway, there's a lot of ambient music. I like David singing and playing music. And on a lot of albums, it's just music, which is great because he's so talented, but it's not what I particularly want. Now, he's teamed up with Robert Fripp from King Crimson, on and off, a couple of albums dotted around, and that's always good. So there's Victim of Stars, greatest hits. Have I got 2 of these? I probably have. No, I haven't. I don't know. Anyway, this one is called Approaching Silence. This is nice to sleep to. Yeah, he's just an incredible artist. He really is. All of those reasons, as I say, all those reasons and more. When I put David on, what happens with me is I start listening like any band or whatever, and before too long I'm dragged along on a journey, and I must listen to more David and more David. And I got, as you see, I got a number of albums, so more and more David, and it's like I can't listen to anything else. It's like David is everything. If there was one artist in the world, for me, it would be David Sylvian. If nobody else existed, it wouldn't really matter too much because David Sylvian existed. Do you know what I mean? Of course, looking over my shoulder, I love other artists. Of course I do. But yeah, it's more than music. There's a lot of space, a lot of openness, a lot of quiet. In fact, silence, approaching silence. A lot of his albums have moments of silence, and they're as important as all the music that goes into it. Brilliant Trees. Wonderful album. Another great album. So here's Robert Fripp and David. It's the first day. Where are we? There we are. This is my favourite album, called Secrets of the Beehive. And I got a couple of box sets. I got a Weather box, and I got the one that I showed you last time. What's it called? Who do you think? I'll show you them in a minute. Anyway, whatever. But yeah, David is so important in my life. I was aware of Japan when I was 15, 16 maybe. So I've been aware of David Sylvian all my life, really, most of my life. It's a long time, since being a child of 15 or 16 to now, and I still love David. He's in retirement now. I don't think he'll ever make another album. It's been many, many years, but David just pops up if and when. He's one of those artists, really. He doesn't need to be making music. He doesn't need to, but every now and then, suddenly you might have an album or a single or whatever. So we just wait and see. He may appear on somebody else's album, perhaps. I've got a feeling that we won't ever see him again. But saying that, he popped on his own Facebook and his own, I think, Instagram or something with a couple of photographs. And his hair's quite long now. I mean, he's an old man, same as me, but his hair's quite long, and he was wearing this hat. And he looked incredible, really, bless him. He is so influential. Without Japan, and then David Sylvian, without Japan, you wouldn't probably have The Cure. You probably wouldn't have, we certainly wouldn't have bands like Duran Duran. Bands that saw what Japan were doing and didn't emulate them as such, but they felt they could then produce music similar, so many bands. There were so many bands that wouldn't be here if it wasn't for David Sylvian. So he is influential. He's an amazing artist. I would say, if you've never heard of him, I would say give him a listen, give him a try. But don't stop at 2 songs. You may listen to 2 songs that you don't like, because he does music that's sometimes a bit non-music, but that itself can lead you on a journey, rather than, same old beats, really, same old drum beats. There could be a song with no drums whatsoever, and it just has a trumpet, and a double bass, something like that, whatever. And then David's beautiful vocals, they can be very mournful. His voice sometimes can be very, very sad, very mournful, but there's something in it that I find uplifting all the time. It doesn't matter what the lyrics are, what he's singing about, how he sounds, there's something extra in there. And I've never heard a singer like him. I've never heard a voice like that. I was thinking that if you got David Bowie, Brian Ferry, and probably 20 or 30 other artists and rolled them all in together, you still wouldn't have David Sylvian's voice. It's so unique. He is such a unique artist in loads of ways that I mentioned earlier. And even his voice, it's just, it transcends everything. It moves you on to this journey that, as I say, you're not listening to songs anymore. You're actually travelling through space and time. You're on a journey. And that's wonderful. That's the important thing for me about David Sylvian. As I say, I put a CD on. I fancy listening to a CD. I put it on, and then I can't stop listening to David Sylvian. I need to listen to more and more and more and more. I don't get that usually with any other artist. One of my favourite bands ever is Pink Floyd, but I can just listen to one album if I want to. You know, again, sometimes you do that. You put Pink Floyd on, you listen to 3 or 4 or 5 albums. With David, sometimes I've even got to stop myself listening in a way and remind myself there are other artists in the world. He's phenomenal. He really is. It's a shame that he goes more down the ambient route in sort of later life, because it was just obviously ambient music. It's just music. I say just. It's incredible. It's beautiful. It's heartfelt. There's something about that man that when he gives the world a piece of music, it is more than a piece of music. It is so wonderful. But, you know, these albums, these ambient albums, most of them live in my bedroom. I've got duplicates of certain albums that I love so much. I've got one in the bedroom and one in here. And I think we're blessed. I'm blessed to be living on this planet the same time as David Sylvian. Imagine. He's phenomenal. So David Sylvian, he is my favourite ever artist, all-round artist. I class an artist as somebody that's all-round. Somebody like, as I said at the beginning, Thomas Feeney, for instance. The voice is amazing. I don't really know a lot about him, so I'm not quite sure what he plays instrument-wise. But I do know what David does, and whether he's live, whether it's a studio album, whether it's he's remixed something, whether he's working with somebody else, whether he just adds his vocals to something, or whether he goes in and produces an album for somebody and adds texture and music and something magic. Doesn't matter what he does, he is the all-round ultimate musical artist as far as I am concerned. David Sylvian. So I'll finish in a second. I'll just show you the box sets and we'll call this video done. But thank you for listening so far. We'll have a quick look at the box sets. Okay, so I'm not going to get things out because I can't be bloody bothered and they take too long to put away. But basically, two decent, really good, decent box sets. One is called Weather Box, which is this little fella. Which is really lovely, wooden box or whatever this is. So yeah, Weather Box. And the other one, this is really heavy. This has, I think, 10 albums, something like this, something like that. Anyway, I'm not going to get it all out. It's huge and it's heavy. It's that big, and it's also beautiful, just stunning, you know. Oh, did you see that? I just saved it. Wow. So while we're doing that, we may as well show you some bits. So yeah, it's got, I think there's 10, I can't remember. A great big book, All right. Loads of music, loads of stuff, and it goes on, literally goes on and on and on. I dropped 2 or 3 bits out of here, but it goes on and on and on. There's more and more and more. As I say, I'm not going to get it all out now. I wasn't going to get any out. There we go. So we're putting it all back nice and neat. But yeah, anything by David. I mean, obviously I'm kind of biased, but I would recommend you buy anything by David, anything. Or if you don't want to buy it, just have a listen on YouTube and what have you. They got albums on there galore. But yeah, so without dropping it, this is a phenomenal box set. Okay. There you go. And so's Weatherbox. Thank you for listening to me banging on and rambling about David Sylvian. Take care, and we'll be back another day. Be well.